What if everything you thought you knew about Tracy's future in Emmerdale was about to change forever? After a shocking exit threat, the beloved character faces a heartbreaking decision that could alter her life and the lives of those around her. Stay tuned as we dive into the emotional turmoil and unexpected twists that await in this gripping storyline. You won't want to miss how it all unfolds. Tracy's turning point. Emmerdale confirms her future after dramatic exit threat. Sometimes it takes the rug being pulled out from under us to realize where we truly belong. For Tracy Robinson, that moment hit like a freight train in Thursday's explosive episode of Emmerdale, April 10. A secret she'd buried deep came roaring back to the surface, and not quietly either. What started as a seemingly harmless night out spiraled into a life-altering confrontation, betrayal, and heartbreak. But let's rewind for a second. The secret that shattered everything. Tracy's world was upended in an instant when her sister, Vanessa Woodfield, in a drunken haze, let slip a truth that was never supposed to see the light of day. The truth. Tracy had stolen money from Eric Pollard at the shop, a mistake she thought was long buried, rectified, and forgotten. Vanessa, desperate to fix the situation, had quietly returned the funds back when it first happened. No one needed to know. It was handled. Or so they thought. But the damage was already done. When Eric learned of Tracy's betrayal, it wasn't just the theft that stung. It was the trust, the loyalty he believed they shared. That kind of betrayal cuts deep. And without hesitation, Eric fired her. No warning, no discussion, just gone. For Tracy, it wasn't just about losing a job. It was about losing a sense of belonging, her place in the village, in the community, and even within her own family. A goodbye hanging in the air. As Vanessa scrambled to apologize and fix the mess she'd made, Tracy had already checked out emotionally. She was done. She couldn't bear the humiliation, the guilt, or the judgmental stares that were sure to follow. Her mind was made up. She was leaving Emmerdale for good. But there was one more heartbreaking detail. She asked Kane, yes, the ever-complicated, sharp-edged Kane, to look after her daughter, Frankie. The weight of that request wasn't lost on him. This wasn't just a dramatic exit. This was real. Tracy was ready to walk away from everything, even her child, if it meant sparing Frankie from the fallout. As Kane made his rounds, catching up with Aaron and John, he noted something odd. Nate, Tracy's husband and his own son, had vanished. Gone without a trace. Of course, what Kane didn't know was that John was hiding a deadly secret. One that may have sealed Nate's fate forever. A village reacts. And so does Eric. While Eric tried to come to terms with the betrayal, Vanessa doubled down on her efforts to convince her sister to stay. But Tracy? She was cold, detached, hurt, and who could blame her? She believed with every fiber of her being that she no longer had a place in Emmerdale, that she wasn't wanted, that she wasn't needed. Still, in a moment of reluctant sisterly unity, she accompanied Vanessa to apologize to Eric, a move that should have marked a step toward healing. Instead, it backfired spectacularly. Eric, still reeling, had already called the police. The moment landed like a slap in the face, not just for Tracy but for viewers who've watched Eric make more than a few questionable choices of his own over the years. Vanessa, unable to hold back, called him out, reminding him of his own past sins and begging him to show just a shred of compassion. It hit a nerve. Because here's the thing, in Emmerdale, redemption is always just around the corner, but only if you're willing to fight for it. A second chance offered, with conditions. To everyone's surprise, Eric eventually softened. Maybe it was Vanessa's words. Maybe it was a moment of self-reflection. Or maybe, just maybe, he remembered that we're all flawed, and that everyone deserves a shot at redemption. He told Tracy he was willing to give her another chance, her job, back on the table. But trust, that would take time to rebuild, and it wouldn't come easy. Tracy, for the first time since the storm hit, looked hopeful. She decided to stay. Carrie and Tracy, a conversation that healed old wounds. Tracy's return to the fold wasn't just about her job. It was about mending fences, reclaiming her identity, and rediscovering the strength she thought she'd lost. She had a powerful heart-to-heart with Carrie, a conversation that reminded us just how much these women have in common. Their pasts, messy, their mistakes, plenty, But their desire to grow, to heal, and to do right by their families, that's what binds them. They didn't sugarcoat things. They acknowledged the pain, the mistrust, the years of tension, but they also chose something rare and beautiful: forgiveness. By the end of their chat, they weren't just two women burying the hatchet. They were allies, survivors, fighters, women who had been to hell and back, and who now saw each other in a new light. What's next for Tracy Robinson? So where does Tracy go from here? Is this the beginning of a fresh chapter, one where she rebuilds her life, restores her relationships, and maybe even finds new purpose? Or is this just a temporary pause before the next storm rolls in? There's no denying that Tracy has been through it. And let's not forget, she's still grieving the mysterious disappearance of Nate, a storyline that's clearly not over, not by a long shot. But if this episode proved anything, it's that Tracy isn't going down without a fight. She's raw, she's real, and she's resilient. Why Tracy's story matters more than ever. Emmerdale has always excelled at giving its characters depth, nuance, and emotional honesty, but Tracy's story hits differently. Why? Because it taps into something universal. We've all made mistakes. We've all wanted to run away from our problems. We've all questioned whether we were worthy of forgiveness, or whether we belonged. Tracy's journey reminds us that second chances are worth fighting for. That healing is messy but possible, and that even when the world turns its back on you, there's always a path forward, if you're brave enough to take it. Fan reactions. An outpouring of support. Social media lit up after the episode aired, with fans rallying behind Tracy in a big way. Hashtags like #JusticeForTracy, #TeamTracy, and #EmerdaleRedemption trended well into the night. One fan tweeted, "Tracy has been through the ringer and still keeps her head high. Give that woman her flowers already, she's a fighter." Another chimed in, "Eric calling the police was brutal, but Tracy handled it with grace. She's got that main character energy and I'm here for it." The consensus is clear. Emmerdale viewers want more Tracy, more growth, more strength, and yes, even more drama. Final thoughts. A heroine reborn. If Thursday's episode marked the end of one chapter, tonight's was the beginning of something entirely new. Tracy Robinson is no longer running. She's standing her ground, facing her past and owning her future, flaws and all. It's not going to be easy. Trust will need to be rebuilt. Relationships will need tending. And let's be honest, this is Emmerdale. Peace is never permanent. But for now, Tracy's home. She's here, and she's not going anywhere. And something tells us her story is only just beginning.